welcome back to Obsession Engineering. Last night's sticky toffee pudding was excellent, but enough of the fun, now we've got some serious motorbike mechanicking to be doing. The bike's had plenty of time to cool down while I've been enjoying puddings, so I've checked the fluid levels and everything is tip-top to the extent of I didn't need to tip-top anything up. I've also had a bit of a chat with Andy and found out what some of the bits are that were in the box of plenty. These little bits are covers for the tail light. This little bracket fits under the swinging arm and holds the brake line in place. There is a screw there that holds the pulley onto the X-up valve. There's two hero blobs to go under the rear sets, under the foot pegs even though they already have hero blobs on them, so probably don't really need those. This single indicator lens is for the rear right-hand side indicator, because you can only buy left-hand side indicators, not rights. So to convert it, you need a right-hand lens. So we have one. That's the indicator, not an indicator, it's a reflector for the number plate. These are the correct front indicators, because at the moment the fairing panel has silly little bullety things in. This is a bracket that should hold the front brake lines on, but I'm not quite sure how it fits even now I've got the manual in front of me, so I'm not going to fit it. I don't really need it. This cowl fits underneath the headstock and keeps something out of the way of something else. Again, don't really need it, but I might fit it anyway because it'll tidy stuff up. Those boots are for the back of the headlight. This bracket holds the horn in place, so that is important. And that goes nicely with a selection of new things that have turned up from Yamaha. Most namely, a horn. Then I've also got a battery strap, a bolt for the back of the tank, a new brake lever to replace the slightly bent and cracked one I've got, and the bolt that holds the brake lever in place, because the current one doesn't look brilliant. So there we go, I've got plenty of bits to be playing with for the next few minutes at least. So there's my special screw and washer fitted to hold the pulleys onto the X-up valve, and now I've actually got the little cover that fits on there to cover everything up and make it look nice. I will be putting some copper slip on the bolts that hold that on, because stainless steel, somewhere that gets hot, yeah, you definitely don't want that seizing in, because it would be a pain to get out later. So a little bit of copper slip the cover on. Stainless steel is particularly prone for seizing up. The reason for this is the chromium inside the stainless steel, which makes it stainless. What happens with stainless is if you scratch it, the chromium almost instantly makes a new layer. It oxidizes and makes a new layer, which again is nice and hard and shiny. The problem with that is if it's on a thread, if the thread catches on the way in or on the way out and scratches that top layer of chromium, it instantly oxidizes, but to the material next to it, which tends to then stick to it. In effect, it welds itself instantly to the material next to itself, and then of course you drag out a bit more, it seizes a little bit more, it creates a new layer, it sticks even more, and there you have your problem. So it's always handy, a little bit of copper slip or something on stainless steel especially will help it not seize up. Can you spot the difference? It's that little gap there. Basically it's a little drain, so if you do get any moisture in your indicator, it just sort of drains out through the hole. So ideally it doesn't want to be at the top. So being as Andy has got me the correct one with the drain at the bottom, it's actually even got top written on it, I'm going to change it over. Simples. This lever might not actually look especially bad or especially bent, but you can see there it's got a horrible big crack through it. So all the strength has gone out of that, and it'd be quite easy for that to break. So definitely going in the bin to be replaced with a brand new genuine one. I've had a rant before about the quality of genuine levers and the fact that they're the right length so you get the right amount of leverage. If you put short levers on, you get less leverage. What's the point? Along with my lovely, nice, long, genuine Yamaha high-quality lever, I've also replaced the bolt, just because the other one didn't look particularly brilliant. And underneath, there is a lock nut, so I've replaced the lock nut as well. There's certain things on a bike that you really, really don't want falling off. And let's face it, if your rear indicator lens falls off, probably not the end of the world. If your front brake lever falls off, it's going to cause you a little bit of alarm. So, big bolt that screws into the housing down here and a lock nut, so it definitely won't fall off. Are you feeling horny? I am. Two things have occurred to me while I've been fitting the horn and this bracket. Just imagine the amount of engineering work that's gone into somebody not only thinking the bracket's got to be there and it's got to be fairly steady, but going to the extent of actually machining a piece onto the lug on the frame to hold the bracket in the right place so it doesn't move, and then where the actual horn bolts to this bracket, there's a little sort of tit on there to stop it moving that way as well. That seems like a lot of engineering work to hold a horn in place. And it just goes, you know, when you're building an engine or a whole chassis, you think, I wouldn't have actually considered how much work it is to attach the horn, but somebody has. Fair play to them. The other thing that's significant with fitting the horn is, that was really the last item, other than changing these electrical connectors, that was stopping me putting the fairing on. So the next thing to do is change these electrical connectors for one of the indicators, and then start actually looking at fairing. Let's put some clothes on her. The next job was to change these connectors. So I've put the correct sort of style bullet connectors on them, and I've connected the indicator up. I've actually put some 12-volt wires straight to the indicators and they work absolutely fine. But I'm just dropping that there for a minute because there is a bit of an oddity going on. So, if I turn the ignition on, you see everything works. But then the dashboard flashes and the indicator doesn't. But the indicator at the back is flashing and this ridiculous little blue LED is flashing. So that's a little bit odd. If I turn that off, if I disconnect the indicator wiring, then the little blue thing stops flashing and the dashboard stops flashing and everything sort of works. So I'm going to have a look. I think we'll start at looking at the wiring diagram and working out exactly what's going on. So I started with the basics. I checked the relay, I checked the voltages, I checked there was an earth everywhere, and I couldn't quite work out what was wrong because everything appeared to be right. And then, as an off chance, I decided to connect up the side light bulbs. And now, well, the side light works for a start, but irrelevant of whether the lights are on or not, the indicators work. And the dash doesn't go mental. I would love to give you a detailed explanation as to exactly how the electricity was wiggling around the circuit, but I can't because I don't really understand what went wrong. All I know is it's working, so that'll do. While I try and pretend that I haven't just spent over an hour looking for an electrical fault that didn't exist, I've done a few other little bits. I've fitted a bolt in the front of the tank. I fitted a bolt in the back of the tank. I've also fitted the correct battery strap. And there's just something about this that's made me surprisingly happy. I don't really know why. It doesn't even really need a strap because the seat actually holds the battery in place. But now it has a battery strap, and I just think it looks right. So there you go. Something that is also fitted is this little sort of piece under here. If we can look up at it. That fits there in the brake lines. I've just trimmed a little bit out so the brake lines run through it, because the original brake lines have this really odd convoluted route that goes through this hole and up there and up round the headstock and, I don't know, twice around your head or something. But my brake lines run like that and I think it works better. So that'll do. Yeah, bit by bit we're getting there. The next step is actually to fit the bodywork, but I'm going to do that another day because it's actually getting quite late. You know, because this job, nobody's actually paying me, so I'm doing it on my own time and doing it after I've done paying work. And there is still some sticky toffee pudding to eat. It'd be a shame for that to go to waste. Thanks for watching, and join me again next time when we're actually going to put the bodywork on. Probably.